Financial success often feels confusing because so many people are told to work harder, save more, or hope for a lucky break. Yet very few are taught the simple law that actually shapes a person's entire financial life. This audiobook is built around that law. It explains how your daily habits, your thoughts, your routines, and your level of personal discipline quietly determine whether money flows into your life or slips away. When you understand how this law works, you gain a sense of control that many people spend their whole lives searching for. You start to feel calmer because you're no longer guessing your way through life. You see why some people move forward year after year, while others feel stuck, no matter how hard they try. This audiobook is going to take you through the steps of strengthening your mind, improving your actions, and creating the kind of personal growth that leads to steady financial progress. You'll learn how small choices build a stronger future, how your beliefs shape your income, and how daily discipline turns effort into results. You'll feel moments of clarity when something finally makes sense, moments of relief when you realize you can change far more than you once believed, and moments of confidence as you start to picture a future that feels stable instead of uncertain. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by money or unsure about how to improve your situation, this journey will help you breathe easier. It will guide you through practical changes you can make right now. It will show you how to strengthen your habits, protect your focus, build new skills, and rise above the thoughts that hold you back. By the end, you'll understand the law that separates growth from struggle, and you'll see how applying it can change your life, one decision at a time. If you're ready to discover the simple truth behind lasting financial progress, stay with this audiobook. What you learn here can change the way you think, the way you act, and the way you build your future. Chapter 1. Learn the law that creates steady, lifelong financial growth. The law that creates steady, lifelong financial growth is simple, yet most people never master it because they keep looking for shortcuts, secrets, or sudden breakthroughs. This law does not rely on talent, luck, or background. It is not based on where you start or who you know. It is built on how you think, how you act, and how consistently you do the things that strengthen your life. The law says that money grows for the person who grows. It says that your income can only rise to the level of your mindset, your habits, and your personal discipline. When you understand this law, you stop waiting for the world to change and begin changing yourself. You stop blaming circumstances and start building strength. You stop depending on chance and start depending on clear decisions that you repeat every day. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they never study how their daily choices shape their financial direction. They keep reacting to life instead of guiding their own path. They repeat old patterns without questioning them. They want more money, yet hold on to habits, attitudes, and routines that quietly destroy their progress. The law of lifelong financial growth begins with awareness. The moment you understand that every action has a financial consequence, your life starts to shift. The moment you realize that money reflects your internal world, you begin strengthening that world. The law becomes clear once you see that your behavior always predicts your bank balance. If you act with discipline, focus, and purpose, money follows. If you act with fear, confusion, or carelessness, money runs from you. The first step toward mastering this law is understanding that growth is never instant. It is a steady climb built on small actions repeated with commitment. People lose money because they chase speed instead of stability. They want big results without building a strong foundation. They want financial freedom without daily responsibility. But freedom is not something you wait for. It is something you create. It grows from the decisions you make when no one is watching and when there is no applause. It grows from how you handle your time, your discipline, and your inner life. Money does not flow to someone who is scattered. It flows to someone who is rooted in purpose and clear thinking. Financial growth begins in the mind, because your thoughts shape your decisions long before your actions take place. If your thinking is chaotic, your money will be chaotic. If your thinking is fearful, your money decisions will be weak. If your thinking is reactive, your financial life will always feel out of control. The law teaches that stability on the inside creates stability on the outside. You cannot rise while carrying beliefs that drag you down. You cannot build wealth with a mindset built on scarcity. You cannot attract opportunity while living with doubt. When you take full responsibility for your thoughts, you gain full control over your decisions. This is where growth begins. Many people think they are held back by money, but they are actually held back by their relationship with money. Some fear losing it. Some avoid thinking about it. Some believe they do not deserve it. Some think money is the cause of problems instead of a tool for freedom. As long as these beliefs guide their decisions, they will struggle. The law of lifelong financial growth requires honesty. You must be willing to examine your patterns. You must question how you think, how you spend, how you react to pressure, and how you use your time. Growth demands self-awareness. When you understand what drives you, you understand how to change your future. Your environment also shapes your financial direction. If you spend time around people who fear growth, you begin to fear it too. If you surround yourself with people who complain about everything, you begin to feel powerless. If you listen to people who avoid responsibility, you begin to avoid it as well. The law teaches that your financial progress increases when your environment supports your discipline. When you are around people who think clearly, who take ownership of their choices, who value improvement, and who live with purpose, your mind strengthens. You begin to rise because rising becomes normal. You begin to grow because growth becomes your standard. Steady, lifelong financial growth also requires you to understand the difference between movement and direction. Many people are busy, yet not improving. They work hard without changing anything. They repeat the same days, the same habits, the same routines, the same emotional reactions. They move without progress. The law teaches that direction matters more than speed. A slow step in the right direction creates more growth than running in circles. Financial improvement begins when you choose actions that pull you forward instead of keeping you stuck. Growth comes from decisions that build strength instead of draining it. One of the most important parts of this law is understanding that money responds to your level of personal order. A disorganized life creates a disorganized financial path. A mind without clarity makes choices without intention. A day without structure becomes a day filled with wasted opportunities. Money grows when your life gains structure. Structure means having routines that support your best choices. It means having boundaries for your energy, your time, and your spending. It means knowing where you are going and why it matters. When your life becomes orderly, your decisions become stronger. When your decisions become stronger, your financial path becomes clearer. Steady growth happens when you stop relying on motivation and start relying on discipline. Motivation feels good, but it disappears when life becomes difficult. Discipline stays with you, whether you feel inspired or not. Discipline builds confidence. It builds character. It builds resilience. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you grow. Every time you follow through on a plan, you gain strength. Every time you act with discipline, you prove that you can rise above old habits. This inner strength becomes the foundation of financial growth. Money follows the person who can trust themselves. Money follows the person who follows through. Another principle behind this law is understanding the value of long-term thinking. Most people focus on the moment. They want comfort today, excitement today, pleasure today. They trade their future for temporary feelings. But the person who grows financially thinks ahead. They see the long game. They choose discomfort today so life can become easier tomorrow. They choose responsibility now so freedom can arrive later. They choose growth even when it feels slow because they know every small improvement becomes a powerful advantage over time. Long-term thinking brings calmness. It keeps you focused on progress instead of instant rewards. It helps you stay patient, disciplined, and consistent. Financial growth becomes steady when you learn to control what you can and release what you cannot. You cannot control the economy, but you can control how you prepare for it. You cannot control what others do, but you can control what you choose to learn. You cannot control opportunities that come and go, but you can control the skills you build. This control gives you power. It removes the feeling of helplessness. It strengthens your confidence. When you take ownership of your effort, your mind becomes stronger than your circumstances. This is where lifelong growth begins. One of the deepest truths behind this law is that money flows toward responsibility. When you take responsibility for your time, your decisions, your emotions, and your direction, life begins to reward you. Responsibility means you stop blaming your past. It means you stop running from challenges. It means you stop expecting someone else to fix your life. It means you take ownership of your habits, your environment, and your future. A responsible person builds resilience. They grow stronger under pressure. They learn faster from failure. They rise above excuses and choose action. This strength becomes the foundation of financial growth. Money flows where leadership exists. When you lead yourself, life begins to open new doors. Steady, lifelong financial growth does not require perfection. It requires progress. It requires learning. It requires the ability to stand back up each time you fall. Every mistake can teach you something. Every setback can refine you. Every struggle can reveal what needs to be improved. Growth happens when you study your behavior and improve it. The law teaches that nothing changes until you change. When you change how you think, your decisions follow. When your decisions change, your habits follow. When your habits change, your financial life transforms. Progress comes from taking consistent steps toward a stronger version of yourself. One powerful part of this law is the understanding that growth demands intention. You cannot drift your way to a better financial life. You must choose what matters. You must choose what to focus on. You must choose what to study. You must choose how to act. Without intention, distractions take over. You move through your days reacting to everything around you. You lose time, energy, and direction. But when you live with intention, you lead yourself. You protect your focus. You act with purpose. You know where your attention is going and why. Intention builds strength. Strength builds progress. Progress builds financial growth. Steady financial growth also requires emotional discipline. Money is often lost through impulsive decisions made during stress, frustration, or excitement. Emotions can cloud judgment. They can push you toward decisions that feel good in the moment but weaken your future. Emotional discipline means slowing down when your mind is racing. It means thinking clearly before reacting. It means choosing logic over impulse. It means acting with patience instead of fear. When your emotions no longer control your decisions, your financial direction becomes stable. Your choices become wiser. Your future becomes stronger. Another key part of this law is learning to think in terms of value. Money grows for the person who creates value. Value comes from your skills, your discipline, your consistency, your ability to solve problems, and your ability to think clearly. When you build value, you attract opportunity. When you increase your capacity, you increase your income potential. Growth becomes natural once you understand that money is a reflection of what you contribute and who you become. When you focus on improving yourself, your financial life begins to align with that improvement. The law that creates steady lifelong financial growth becomes clearer the more you observe your behavior. Every choice either strengthens your future or weakens it. Every action moves you closer to success or pushes you farther away. Growth comes from making choices that honor your goals. It comes from building discipline when distractions appear. It comes from choosing clarity over confusion, purpose over comfort, and responsibility over reaction. When these decisions become your daily routine, your financial life gains direction and momentum. The truth is that lifelong financial growth is not built on one big moment. It is built on thousands of small decisions made with awareness and intention. It grows through daily discipline. It grows through steady improvement. It grows through learning, adjusting, and taking action again and again. It grows when you stop running from responsibility and start embracing it. It grows when you stop waiting for opportunity and start preparing for it. When you understand this law, you stop asking when money will come and start asking how you can grow. You stop chasing results and start building the mindset that attracts them. This law gives you control. It teaches you that you are not powerless. You are not stuck. You are not limited by your past. You can change your financial direction by changing your actions. You can build a stronger future by building a stronger version of yourself. Steady growth begins the moment you accept that every choice matters. It begins when you choose to live with discipline, focus, and intention. It begins when you commit to doing the small things every day that strengthen your mind, your habits, and your future. The path to lifelong financial growth is not always easy, but it is always possible. Every strong decision builds momentum. Every disciplined action builds confidence. Every moment of clarity builds progress. The law works for anyone who respects it. It works slowly at first, then suddenly. It rewards persistence. It rewards consistency. It rewards discipline. It rewards growth. Once you understand this law, you begin living with a sense of control and stability. You begin making choices that support your future. You begin acting in ways that attract opportunity. You begin building a life that grows year after year. Mastering this law is the beginning of transformation. It invites you to rise above old patterns, strengthen your thinking, and take control of your life. When you understand that your daily decisions shape your financial destiny, you stop drifting and start building. You stop hoping and start acting. You stop surviving and start growing. This law becomes your foundation. It guides your choices. It strengthens your discipline. It shapes your mindset. And as you grow, your financial life grows with you. This is how steady, lifelong financial growth is created. This is how your future transforms. And this is why, once you understand this law, you will never lack money again. Chapter 2. Build habits that strengthen your daily money decisions. Building habits that strengthen your daily money decisions begins with accepting that every small choice shapes the direction of your life. People often assume that financial strength is the result of a few big moments, but real progress comes from the actions you repeat without thinking. These quiet, consistent habits guide how you use your time, how you respond to pressure, and how you manage the resources you already have. When your habits align with your goals, your decisions become clearer and your life becomes more stable. You no longer feel controlled by circumstances because you are practicing behaviors that move you forward every single day. The power of habits is that they shape your identity. They transform you from someone who reacts to problems into someone who leads their own life with intention. The first step is recognizing the habits you currently follow, even the ones you do not notice. Many people repeat routines that quietly weaken their financial choices. They spend on impulse, avoid planning, or allow their emotions to guide their decisions. These behaviors may feel small, but they create long-term patterns. Every time you act without awareness, you reinforce a habit that may not support your future. Changing this begins with simple observation. When you start paying attention to how you behave around money, you uncover the beliefs and patterns that shape your decisions. Awareness gives you the power to shift your behavior rather than allowing old habits to guide you automatically. Once you see your patterns clearly, the next step is replacing them with habits that strengthen your thinking. You cannot build strong money decisions while living on autopilot. You need routines that support stability. One powerful habit is beginning each day with clarity. This means knowing your priorities before distractions take over. When you start your day with a clear mind, you act with purpose. You choose how to use your time rather than letting the day control you. This sense of control affects your entire financial direction. A clear mind helps you avoid impulsive choices and strengthens your ability to think rationally under pressure. A second important habit is writing down your goals regularly. It may sound simple, but putting your intentions on paper gives your mind a sense of direction. It helps you stay honest with yourself. When you see your goals in front of you, you remember what matters. You become less tempted by unnecessary spending because your goals are guiding your decisions. This habit strengthens discipline. Discipline grows when you consistently remind yourself of the future you are building. The more you focus on your goals, the easier it becomes to act in ways that support them. Another effective habit is tracking your spending daily. Not as a punishment, but as a tool for awareness. Many people avoid looking at their spending because it makes them uncomfortable, but ignoring it only increases stress. When you track your spending, you take responsibility for your choices. You begin to see patterns you can improve. You learn where you can adjust without feeling deprived. This habit trains your mind to think logically about money. It helps you make decisions based on facts rather than emotion. The act of paying attention builds control, and control builds confidence. Strong money decisions also grow from the habit of delaying gratification. This does not mean denying yourself everything. It means training your mind to choose the long-term benefit over the short-term impulse. When you practice waiting, even for small things, you strengthen your ability to manage your emotions. This skill is essential because most financial struggles come from quick emotional decisions. When you choose patience, you gain power over your impulses. You stop responding to every desire and begin acting with intention. This habit may feel uncomfortable at first, but over time it becomes one of the most valuable tools in creating a stable financial life. Another important habit is setting boundaries with your time. Time is one of your most valuable assets, and how you use it directly influences your financial direction. When you allow distractions to control your day, you weaken your ability to make strong decisions. Setting boundaries means giving your attention to what matters and protecting yourself from unnecessary noise. It means choosing activities that support your goals rather than drain your energy. When you use your time wisely, your mind becomes clearer. You gain more space to think, plan, and act with purpose. This clarity improves every financial choice you make. A meaningful habit that strengthens your daily decisions is practicing gratitude for what you already have. This mindset keeps you grounded. It reduces the urge to overspend in order to fill emotional gaps. When you recognize the value in your life, you no longer feel controlled by comparison. You stop chasing temporary satisfaction and start focusing on building long-term stability. Gratitude also lowers stress, and when stress goes down, your decisions become better. Clear thinking grows in a calm mind. Gratitude helps you stay steady, even when you face challenges. Another powerful habit is learning a small financial skill each day. This does not require hours of study. Even 10 minutes of learning builds progress over time. It may be understanding how interest works, learning about budgeting, or improving your financial vocabulary. These small efforts accumulate into tremendous advantages. Knowledge builds confidence. Confidence leads to better choices. Better choices create stronger outcomes. When you invest time in learning, you build a foundation that supports every financial decision you make. A helpful habit is reviewing your day at night. This reflection keeps you accountable. It allows you to recognize where you acted wisely and where you can improve. Reflection is not about judging yourself. It is about learning. When you look at your choices honestly, you strengthen your self-awareness. You begin to understand why you behave the way you do. You see the thoughts that drive your decisions. This awareness helps you improve faster than repeating the same mistakes without noticing them. A daily review keeps your progress steady. Strong money decisions also grow from surrounding yourself with people who support your goals. Environment shapes behavior more than most people realize. If you spend time with people who disrespect money, you may adopt the same attitude. If you are around people who avoid responsibility, their habits can influence you. But when you are surrounded by people who value growth, discipline, and clarity, those qualities become natural to you. This habit of choosing your environment carefully protects your progress. It helps you maintain strong decisions even during stressful times. Another effective habit is practicing emotional steadiness. Money decisions often weaken when emotions run high. Stress, frustration, excitement, and fear can push you into choices you later regret. Training your mind to stay steady gives you the ability to pause before acting. It helps you see a situation without being overwhelmed by emotion. Emotional steadiness keeps you in control. It helps you make decisions based on clear thinking rather than temporary feelings. Over time, this habit becomes one of the strongest foundations of financial stability. You can also strengthen your daily money decisions by building routines that reduce uncertainty. When you plan your day, your spending, and your responsibilities, you remove confusion. You stop reacting and start leading. Routines make your life predictable enough to stay disciplined. You do not waste time deciding the same things every day because your habits already guide you. This structure keeps you consistent. Consistency matters more than intensity when it comes to financial improvement. Strong habits remove the guesswork and allow discipline to grow naturally. One of the deepest habits you can form is taking ownership of your choices. When you stop blaming circumstances and start taking responsibility, your decisions become stronger. You no longer feel powerless. You become someone who acts with intention rather than someone who waits for life to change. Ownership gives you strength. It helps you face challenges without losing control. When you accept responsibility for your actions, your financial life begins to shift because you are no longer running from the truth. You are confronting it and improving it. Finally, the habit of consistency binds everything together. Even the best habits fail when practiced only occasionally. Growth comes from repetition. When you repeat strong actions daily, they eventually become automatic. You no longer need to think about them because they become part of who you are. This consistency shapes your identity. You become someone who makes wise decisions because your habits lead you in the right direction. This identity creates stability. Stability leads to progress. Progress leads to confidence. And confidence leads to stronger financial decisions. Building habits that strengthen your daily money decisions is not a quick process. It requires patience, awareness, and discipline. But every effort you make builds a new foundation for your future. Every strong choice shapes the path ahead. When your habits support your goals, your life begins to shift in ways that feel steady and lasting. Each day becomes an opportunity to grow. Each decision becomes a step toward a stronger future. And over time, these habits form the structure that allows your financial life to thrive. Chapter 3. Remove beliefs that silently block your financial progress. Many people work hard, stay busy, and try to improve their lives, yet they still feel stuck financially, because the beliefs they carry quietly limit their progress. These beliefs often sit beneath the surface, shaping decisions without being noticed. They influence how you think, how you act, and what you allow yourself to pursue. Removing these beliefs is not about rejecting your past. It is about understanding how your thoughts have been guiding your behavior and choosing thoughts that support your growth instead of holding you back. Financial improvement begins with a clear and honest examination of what you believe about money, success, and your own potential. Some beliefs come from childhood, shaped by what you heard or observed. If you grew up in a home where money felt scarce, you might carry the belief that struggle is normal. If you watched adults around you fear bills, debt, or responsibility, you may have absorbed that fear even without realizing it. Beliefs formed early in life can stay with you for decades unless they are challenged. These beliefs can make you hesitate when opportunities appear. They can make you settle for less because you think more is not possible for someone like you. Identifying these beliefs requires honesty. Many people avoid facing them because it feels uncomfortable, but avoiding the truth keeps you trapped in cycles that no longer serve your future. One of the most common beliefs that blocks progress is the idea that money is difficult to earn or only available to certain people. This belief creates a mental barrier that affects your ambition. When you think money is rare or hard to gain, you lower your expectations. You avoid taking steps that could improve your income because you assume they will fail. This belief influences how you respond to challenges. Instead of seeing difficulties as part of growth, you see them as proof that success is not meant for you. Removing this belief requires replacing it with the understanding that financial progress grows from skills, discipline, and consistent action rather than luck or special privilege. Another limiting belief is thinking you are not capable enough to reach a higher level. This belief often develops from comparing yourself to others or from past failures that made you doubt your potential. When you believe you are not capable, you avoid opportunities that require effort. You stay in your comfort zone because pushing beyond it feels risky. This belief becomes a cage that prevents you from seeing your own potential. Removing it requires acknowledging that growth happens through practice. Capability is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Each time you try, learn, and improve, your mind becomes stronger and your actions become more confident. Many people also carry the belief that wanting more money is selfish or wrong. This belief often comes from negative messages about wealth or misunderstandings about what money represents. Money is a tool. It gives you options. It gives you stability. It gives you the ability to support yourself and others. When you believe that wanting more is wrong, you limit your own progress. You hold back from opportunities because you fear judgment. You avoid dreaming bigger because you worry about how it will look to others. Removing this belief means understanding that building financial strength is not selfish, it is responsible. It allows you to care for yourself and to help others from a place of stability. Another belief that blocks progress is thinking that financial success requires a perfect moment or ideal conditions. Many people delay action because they think they need more time, more knowledge, or more confidence before beginning. This belief creates endless waiting. It keeps you stuck in planning instead of doing. The truth is that progress starts with action. You learn by moving, not by waiting. No one feels completely ready before starting something new. Removing this belief means choosing movement even when things are not perfect. Each small step builds clarity and confidence. Each action teaches you something valuable. Some people believe that one mistake or failure defines their entire financial future. This belief comes from attaching too much meaning to a single event. Everyone makes mistakes, yet only some learn from them. If you believe failure defines you, you avoid trying again. You stay discouraged because you think the past will repeat itself. This stops growth before it even begins. Removing this belief requires seeing failure as information. A mistake does not end your progress unless you stop moving. Growth comes from learning what needs to change and trying again with a better approach. When you stop fearing failure, your financial decisions become more courageous and deliberate. Another invisible belief that blocks progress is the idea that your circumstances cannot change. This belief develops when life feels overwhelming or when past attempts to improve did not work out. Over time, you may begin to think that your situation is fixed. This belief steals your motivation. It convinces you that effort does not matter. Removing this belief requires recognizing that circumstances change when habits change. Progress becomes possible when you decide to take responsibility for your direction. Even small improvements shift your path. When you stop assuming your future is limited, you begin to act with energy and confidence. Some people carry the belief that money brings problems. When you believe that more money will create stress or conflict, you unconsciously avoid opportunities for growth. You may reject promotions, avoid building skills, or limit your ambition because you want to avoid potential responsibility. This belief quietly blocks your progress because it creates fear. Removing it means understanding that money itself is neutral. It does not create problems, it reveals habits. When you build discipline, structure, and emotional strength, money becomes a tool that supports your stability, rather than a burden. Another belief that limits progress is the idea that you must manage everything on your own. This belief creates unnecessary pressure and prevents you from learning from others. When you refuse guidance, you slow your progress. When you think asking questions is a weakness, you miss opportunities for growth. Removing this belief means recognizing that learning from others shortens your path. It means accepting support, advice, and information without feeling insecure. Growth happens faster when you allow yourself to learn from people who have already walked the path you are trying to build. Some people believe they do not deserve success. This belief may come from past mistakes, self-doubt, or negative messages received from others. When you believe you are undeserving, you unconsciously sabotage your own progress. You reject opportunities because they feel too good for you. You minimize your achievements because you do not see your own value. Removing this belief requires acknowledging that you are allowed to grow. You are allowed to improve. You are allowed to build a better life. You do not earn worthiness. You already have it. Success grows from effort, not self-judgment. The process of removing limiting beliefs requires patience. These beliefs have been shaping your behavior for years, sometimes a lifetime. You cannot remove them instantly, but you can weaken them. You weaken them every time you choose a new thought. You weaken them every time you act in a way that contradicts them. You weaken them each time you gain new information. The goal is not to erase all beliefs in one moment. The goal is to question them, challenge them, and replace them with thoughts that empower your progress. One helpful way to remove limiting beliefs is asking whether the belief supports the life you want. If it does not, then it has no place in your future. Another powerful method is taking small actions that challenge the belief directly. If you believe you cannot improve, do something small that moves you forward. If you believe you should not want more, take one step toward a goal that matters to you. These actions prove to your mind that growth is possible. Over time, the belief loses its power because your actions create new evidence. When these limiting beliefs begin to fade, Your financial decisions grow stronger. You no longer shrink your goals to match old thoughts. You begin thinking clearly. You choose your actions based on possibility rather than fear. You move toward opportunities with confidence. You face challenges with a steady mind. Removing limiting beliefs opens the path to progress because it clears the internal barriers that have been limiting your potential. Once these barriers fall, your direction becomes clearer and your capacity expands. When you free yourself from beliefs that block your financial progress, you create space for new habits, new ideas, and new levels of discipline. You begin acting as the person you want to become rather than the person your past conditioned you to be. You start making decisions that reflect strength instead of doubt. This shift in thinking changes your relationship with money. It makes you more intentional, more patient, and more confident. Removing these beliefs is an ongoing process, but each step forward strengthens your identity and moves you closer to the financial life you are working to build. Chapter 4. Grow your value by improving skills that pay. Growing your value by improving skills that pay begins with recognizing that income always reflects the strength you bring to the world. When you rely only on effort without building meaningful skills, your progress becomes limited. But when you focus on abilities that create value, you expand your opportunities, increase your earning power, and gain control over your future. Skills create stability because they stay with you, no matter what changes around you. Markets shift, jobs evolve, and industries transform, yet strong skills continue to support your growth. The moment you decide to develop skills that matter, your financial life begins to rise because you are increasing what you can offer. Most people want better results, but they rarely ask themselves what they can improve internally. They hope for higher income while staying exactly the same. They wait for chances instead of preparing for them. This creates frustration because growth does not come from waiting. It comes from becoming someone who brings more value. Skills are the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. They sharpen your thinking, strengthen your discipline, and make you more capable in every area of life. When you improve your skills, you upgrade your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who can create, solve, lead, and influence. The first step in growing your value is identifying the skills that matter in today's world. These skills are the ones that help you solve problems, communicate clearly, manage your time, and adapt to change. They include abilities that increase your productivity, your emotional stability, your decision-making, and your ability to work with others. Many people overlook these foundational skills because they seem simple, yet they are deeply connected to financial success. When you know how to manage your time, you become more effective. When you learn how to communicate, you gain influence. When you strengthen your ability to think critically, you avoid mistakes that cost time and money. Beyond foundational skills, you must also look at skills that hold financial value in the marketplace. These are the skills that companies, clients, and communities rely on. They include digital literacy, marketing, technology, problem-solving, leadership, and creativity. You do not need to master everything. You only need to choose skills that align with your strengths and build them consistently. When you develop even one valuable skill deeply, you raise your earning potential. People pay for expertise, clarity, and results. When you provide these through strong skills, your financial opportunities grow. The process of improving skills requires patience. You cannot become skilled overnight. But every day you dedicate to learning builds momentum. Consistent practice sharpens your abilities. Consistent effort builds confidence. The small steps you take accumulate into powerful advantages. Learning becomes easier when you focus on progress instead of perfection. Perfection creates pressure. Progress creates growth. When you treat learning as a long-term commitment, You develop a peaceful relationship with improvement. You stop rushing. You stop comparing yourself to others. You begin enjoying the process of getting better. Many people fail to improve their skills because they underestimate the impact of small daily practice. 10 minutes of learning each day may appear insignificant, yet over a year it becomes more than 60 hours of focused growth. This consistent investment shapes your mind. It changes how you think and how you approach challenges. When you commit to learning something new regularly, your mind becomes sharper. You begin making better decisions. You become more adaptable. You build mental strength that supports every new opportunity. Skills grow when you show up repeatedly, even on days when motivation is low. Another important part of improving skills is embracing discomfort. Growth often feels uncomfortable because it pushes you beyond your current limits. Learning something new means accepting that you will not understand everything at first. You may make mistakes, feel uncertain, or doubt your progress. Many people avoid this discomfort by returning to what they already know. But this comfort zone limits your value. The path to new skills requires facing the discomfort of being a beginner. When you accept this discomfort, you open the door to possibilities you previously considered unreachable. Each challenge you overcome increases your confidence and expands your capacity. To grow your value, you also need to practice your skills in real situations. Learning from books, videos, or courses is useful, but practice makes the knowledge real. Application builds clarity. When you apply what you learn, you see where you need improvement. You understand your strengths and weaknesses more clearly. You gain feedback that helps you adjust. Skills deepen when you use them. Real practice turns theory into ability. It transforms learning into results. The more you use a skill, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, what once felt difficult becomes part of who you are. Another factor that strengthens your skills is surrounding yourself with people who challenge you. When you spend time around individuals who think clearly, act with discipline, and strive for improvement, you naturally rise to their level. You learn from their behavior. You adopt their standards. This environment encourages growth. It pushes you to sharpen your abilities and stay consistent. When you are around people who take learning seriously, you are more likely to push through challenges rather than avoiding them. A strong environment accelerates skill development because it keeps you focused and accountable. Growing your value also requires letting go of the belief that you must master everything quickly. Many people quit because they expect instant results. They become frustrated when progress feels slow, but skills grow through steady repetition, not sudden breakthroughs. When you accept the pace of learning, you become free from unnecessary pressure. You gain patience. You gain direction. Slow progress is still progress. Every bit of effort brings you closer to mastery. Once you understand that improvement takes time, you stop rushing and start building. To increase your value, you must also learn to prioritize the skills that create the greatest impact. Not all skills are equal. Some skills give you greater leverage, meaning they produce results that multiply your efforts. For example, improving your communication skills helps in every situation, from work to relationships. Strengthening your ability to stay organized increases productivity. Learning how to manage your emotions helps you stay calm under stress. These high-impact skills shape the quality of your decisions. When you improve these areas, your financial life strengthens because your actions become more intentional and effective. Investing in skills that pay requires aligning your learning with your goals. If you want to increase your income, ask yourself which skills are most valuable in your field. If you want to start a business, focus on skills that support entrepreneurship. If you want more stability, strengthen skills that keep you competitive. When your learning has purpose, you stay committed. Purpose gives you energy. It keeps you moving forward even When learning feels challenging, purpose turns your efforts into meaningful growth. Another important part of growing your value is recognizing that skill development never ends. The world changes constantly. Technology evolves, opportunities shift, new industries emerge. When you commit to lifelong learning, you maintain your relevance, you stay prepared, you adapt quickly. The people who thrive are those who continue to improve regardless of age or background. Lifelong learning keeps your mind active and your opportunities alive. It gives you confidence because you know you can handle new challenges as they appear. Improving skills also helps you build resilience. As you learn, you become more capable of solving problems. You no longer feel overwhelmed by difficulty because you have tools to navigate it. Resilience is a valuable skill on its own. It gives you strength during uncertainty. It helps you stay steady when others panic. This stability improves your financial decisions. It helps you stay calm, focused, and prepared for change. Growing your value through skills also shapes your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of growth. This belief influences everything you do. It makes you more intentional. It helps you make decisions based on possibility instead of fear. When you identify as someone who learns, adapts, and improves, you naturally rise to opportunities that once felt intimidating. Your confidence strengthens because it is built on effort rather than hope. When you improve skills that matter, you gain something more valuable than money. You gain the ability to rebuild your life whenever needed. No job loss, economic shift, or setback can take away the skills you have built. Skills give you freedom because they allow you to create solutions no matter what happens. They keep you self-reliant, strong, and adaptable. Financial growth becomes a natural result of who you become. Growing your value by improving skills is one of the most powerful ways to shape your future. It raises your potential. It strengthens your decisions. It increases your confidence. It builds a foundation that supports long-term success. Every moment you dedicate to learning becomes an investment in your future stability. Each new skill expands your world. Each improvement opens new doors. When you commit to skill development, you choose a path of continuous growth. This choice creates opportunities that stay with you for life. Chapter 5. Control your actions to avoid wasteful money choices. Controlling your actions to avoid wasteful money choices begins with understanding how much of your financial life is shaped by automatic behavior. Most people do not make poor decisions because they lack intelligence. They make poor decisions because they act without awareness. They respond to impulse, stress, boredom, or convenience without thinking about the long-term cost. These small, unnoticed actions slowly drain stability and confidence. The moment you begin paying attention to how you behave with money, you reclaim control over your future. You stop being driven by urges and start being guided by deliberate decisions that support your goals. Many wasteful choices happen in moments of emotional reaction. When someone feels tired, stressed, or frustrated, they often turn to spending as a temporary relief. These actions do not come from intention. They come from emotion. Emotional decisions rarely support long-term growth. They feel comforting in the moment, but create regret later. Controlling your actions means learning to pause before reacting. A simple pause is powerful. It creates space between emotion and decision. In that space, you can think instead of reacting. You can choose what aligns with your future rather than what comforts the moment. A major part of avoiding wasteful choices is understanding your triggers. Everyone has situations that weaken their discipline. Some overspend when they are lonely. Some overspend when they feel pressured to impress others. Some overspend when they are bored and looking for distraction. When you become aware of your triggers, you can prepare for them. You can build a plan that keeps you steady instead of allowing emotions to control your spending. Awareness does not remove the trigger, but it gives you power over your response. You become someone who acts with intention instead of falling into old patterns. Another key element of controlling your actions is recognizing how convenience influences decisions. Modern life makes it extremely easy to spend without thinking. Online shopping, automatic subscriptions, and digital payments reduce the sense of effort. When spending becomes too convenient, people often make decisions they would avoid if they had to put in more effort. Taking back control means adding a layer of intention. This may mean waiting a day before buying something, reviewing subscriptions regularly, or creating limits for impulse purchases. These small steps help you slow down and think, which prevents unnecessary spending. Many wasteful money choices also come from the habit of not planning. Without a plan, your actions become scattered. You spend based on what feels necessary in the moment, rather than what actually supports your life. A simple plan guides your decisions and keeps you grounded. It does not need to be complicated. It only needs to give your mind structure. When you plan your spending, your time, and your priorities, you reduce confusion. You make fewer mistakes because you already know what matters and what does not. When you act with clarity, your decisions become stronger. Another important part of controlling your actions is setting boundaries for yourself. Boundaries protect you from your weaker moments. They act as guardrails that keep your decisions consistent. A boundary may be choosing not to buy anything late at night, setting a fixed spending limit for entertainment, or keeping your savings in an account that is not easy to access. Boundaries prevent you from acting on impulse. They remove the opportunity for wasteful choices. When your environment supports your discipline, your actions become easier to control. Avoiding wasteful money decisions also depends on building habits that reduce unnecessary temptation. When your environment is filled with constant triggers, your discipline becomes exhausted. Removing temptations is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom. You can unsubscribe from promotional emails, delete shopping apps, or organize your space to reduce clutter that leads to emotional spending. These small changes create a clearer mental environment. A clear environment leads to clear decisions. When you simplify your surroundings, your mind becomes more focused and your actions become more intentional. A powerful way to strengthen your control is practicing mindful spending. This means asking yourself questions before every purchase. Do you need this? Does it support your goals? Will you regret it later? How will this decision affect your future? These questions bring awareness into the moment. They help you examine your motives instead of acting on impulse. Mindful spending builds maturity. It teaches you to think long-term. It strengthens your inner discipline. Over time, mindful spending becomes natural, and you begin to feel more confident and grounded in your decisions. Another important aspect is building patience. Many wasteful choices are made in moments of impatience, when you want something immediately. Impatience pushes you into rushed decisions. It makes you ignore details, overlook consequences, and act from restlessness instead of clarity. Developing patience helps you think before acting. It helps you choose what benefits your future instead of what satisfies the moment. Patience does not mean denying yourself everything. It means choosing the right moment to act. When you strengthen your patience, your decisions become calmer and more intentional. It is also important to understand how social pressure leads to wasteful spending. Many people make choices based on what others expect, rather than what is right for them. They buy things to appear successful or to avoid judgment. These choices often lead to regret. Controlling your actions means valuing your own judgment above the expectations of others. It means deciding based on your goals rather than someone else's lifestyle. When you detach your decisions from social pressure, you gain freedom. This freedom strengthens your financial direction because it removes unnecessary spending motivated by insecurity. Another effective way to avoid wasteful choices is simplifying your decision-making process. Complexity leads to confusion, and confusion leads to mistakes. When you create simple rules for your financial life, you reduce the chances of acting impulsively. You might choose to buy only what you planned in advance, wait 24 hours before spending on anything that is not essential, or review your financial decisions weekly. These simple rules create structure. Structure becomes discipline. Discipline becomes stability. You become someone who is in control rather than someone who is controlled by the moment. Self-control improves when you build a strong relationship with your future self. Wasteful choices become less tempting when you think about how they affect your future. When you imagine the version of yourself you want to become stable, confident, and financially strong, you naturally protect that future with your decisions. Every time you choose clarity over impulse, you strengthen the connection to your future. You begin acting as the person you want to be. This identity shift makes wasteful choices feel less appealing because they do not match the future you are building. Controlling your actions also requires emotional stability. When you learn to calm your mind, your decisions become wiser. Techniques like deep breathing, walking, or taking a brief pause can help reset your emotions before making a financial choice. Emotional stability gives you the ability to think clearly during stressful moments. Many financial mistakes happen when emotions overpower logic. When you strengthen emotional control, you protect yourself from actions that could damage your progress. A calm mind makes stronger decisions. Another powerful element is accountability. When you hold yourself accountable for your actions, you create personal responsibility. Accountability keeps you honest. It prevents excuses. It encourages you to take ownership of your decisions rather than blaming circumstances. You can build accountability through journaling, reviewing your spending, or setting weekly reflections. These practices help you understand why you acted a certain way and what you can improve. Accountability builds discipline because it keeps you aware of your behavior. Avoiding wasteful money choices becomes easier when you have meaningful goals. Goals give your actions direction. They help you understand what matters and what does not. When your goals are important to you, wasteful decisions lose their appeal. You begin making choices that support your progress. Your future becomes more valuable than temporary desires. This sense of purpose strengthens your self-control and gives you clarity during difficult moments. Controlling your actions is not about restriction, it is about responsibility. It is about choosing behaviors that build stability rather than taking actions that break it. When you gain control over your actions, you gain control over your financial life. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to feel capable. You begin to create momentum that leads to long-term success. Control brings peace. It brings confidence. It brings clarity. And once you learn to guide your actions with intention, wasteful choices lose their power. You become someone who acts with purpose, protects their progress, and builds a future that reflects strength instead of impulse. Chapter 6. Practice discipline that turns small steps into wealth. Practicing discipline that turns small steps into wealth starts with understanding how powerful consistent effort becomes when it is repeated long enough. Wealth is rarely built through sudden breakthroughs or dramatic events. It grows from small actions that seem insignificant in the moment, but accumulate into something meaningful over time. Discipline is the force that keeps those actions alive. Without discipline, good intentions fade, motivation disappears, and progress stops as soon as obstacles appear. With discipline, even the smallest habits become tools that move you forward. Discipline gives direction to your effort and turns daily routines into long-term results. Most people struggle not because they lack desire, but because they underestimate the value of small steps. They think progress must feel big to matter, so they ignore the small behaviors that create real change. They wait for inspiration or perfect timing instead of taking action today. This mindset keeps them stuck. Discipline teaches the opposite. Discipline teaches you to honor the small step because the small step shapes your identity. When you commit to a tiny action every day, you build trust in yourself. You prove, through action, that you can follow through. That trust becomes the foundation of confidence, and confidence keeps you moving even when progress feels slow. Discipline grows when you stop relying on emotion. Many people act only when they feel like it. They wait for the right mood, the right energy, or the right motivation. But feelings are unpredictable. They rise and fall. They shift without warning. If you depend on emotion, you will act inconsistently. Discipline is choosing action regardless of feeling. It is deciding that your future matters more than your temporary comfort. When you separate discipline from emotion, your decisions become steady. You no longer depend on motivation to move forward. You rely on commitment instead. One important part of discipline is creating routines that reduce decision fatigue. The more decisions you face in a day, the easier it becomes to choose comfort over progress. When your routines guide your behavior, you remove the need to constantly choose. You do not waste energy deciding when to start or what to prioritize. Routines simplify your day and make disciplined behavior automatic. Over time, this consistency strengthens your willpower. You become more stable, more focused, and more capable of handling challenges. Another essential aspect of discipline is mastering your time. How you use your time determines the level of wealth you build. Many people waste hours on distractions without realizing how those lost hours accumulate into lost opportunities. Discipline teaches you to be aware of your time and to protect it. This protection does not require harsh restrictions. It simply means choosing meaningful actions over empty ones. When you use your time intentionally, you move closer to your goals. You become someone who builds momentum daily rather than someone who moves only when conditions feel perfect. Discipline also means keeping your promises to yourself. Every time you follow through on something you committed to, even something small, you strengthen your inner authority. You build a relationship with yourself based on trust rather than disappointment. When you break your own promises, you weaken that trust. You begin to doubt your ability to stay consistent. But when you keep your promises, even when it is difficult, you experience a sense of strength that influences every other decision in your life. This inner strength becomes the engine of financial growth. Another powerful element of discipline is being patient with the process. Many people quit because they expect results faster than reality allows. They misunderstand the nature of growth. Small steps take time to show visible change. Your mind, your habits, and your financial situation do not transform instantly. The early stages of progress often feel slow or invisible. Discipline teaches you to keep going even when nothing seems to be changing. It reminds you that growth is happening beneath the surface. Every small step is preparing your future, even if the reward has not yet appeared. Discipline deepens when you remove unnecessary distractions. Distractions weaken your focus and steal the energy needed for meaningful action. They pull your mind in different directions and make it harder to stay consistent. When you reduce these distractions, whether they are digital noise, unproductive routines, or environments that drain you, you create space for disciplined behavior. This space allows your mind to settle, your priorities to become clear, and your effort to become more focused. A clear environment supports a disciplined life. Another key part of discipline is learning to handle discomfort. Growth often requires doing things that are not enjoyable in the moment. Studying a difficult topic, practicing a new skill, or making a responsible financial choice may feel uncomfortable at first. Many people avoid these moments because discomfort feels threatening. But discomfort is not a danger, it is part of progress. When you train yourself to face discomfort instead of avoiding it, your discipline becomes stronger. You become resilient. You gain the ability to keep moving even when the journey tests you. This resilience is essential for building wealth because wealth requires long-term commitment. Discipline also requires clarity. When your goals are vague, your actions become inconsistent. Clear goals give your mind something to aim at. They give meaning to your daily habits. You do not need to know every detail of your future, but you do need to know what you are working toward. Clear goals turn small steps into strategic steps. They help you measure your progress. They help you stay motivated during slow periods. When you know why you are taking action, the discipline becomes easier to sustain. Another important part of discipline is embracing structure. Structure creates stability. It organizes your day in a way that supports your growth. When your life lacks structure, you rely on impulse instead of intention. You drift rather than direct. Structure helps you stay focused on what matters. It keeps your energy aligned with your priorities. It reminds you that every action counts. With structure, small steps become predictable instead of optional, and predictability builds momentum. Discipline also improves when you celebrate small victories. When you acknowledge your progress, even the smallest improvement, you reinforce your commitment. Celebrating small wins builds confidence and maintains momentum. It shifts your attention from what you have not achieved to what you have accomplished. This positive focus keeps your discipline alive because it proves that your efforts matter. Over time, these small victories accumulate into meaningful transformation. Practicing discipline also means rejecting excuses. Excuses weaken your progress by justifying inaction. They create stories that make you feel better about avoiding responsibility. Discipline teaches you to recognize these excuses and move past them. It teaches you to act even when you can rationalize avoiding action. When you stop believing your own excuses, your decisions become stronger. You take responsibility for your progress. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start using what you have. Discipline grows when you build self-awareness. When you understand your patterns, your strengths, and your weaknesses, you can design habits that support your growth. You can anticipate challenges and prepare for them. You can recognize when your motivation is fading and adjust your approach. Self-awareness makes discipline more sustainable because it allows you to manage yourself effectively instead of forcing yourself blindly. Another essential part of discipline is consistency. Large bursts of effort followed by long breaks do not create meaningful progress. Consistency creates transformation. Even the smallest action, repeated daily, leads to more growth than intense effort that cannot be sustained. When you focus on consistency instead of intensity, your actions become stable. Your growth becomes predictable. Your habits become strong enough to support long-term wealth. Practicing discipline that turns small steps into wealth is not about perfection. It is about commitment. It is about choosing progress over comfort. It is about valuing the future you are building. When you practice discipline daily, you begin to see yourself differently. You become someone who creates results, someone who follows through, someone who grows consistently. This identity shift is more valuable than any short-term outcome because it shapes your entire life. Through disciplined action, small steps become powerful. Small decisions become meaningful. Small habits become long-term success. And over time, These small steps form the foundation of wealth that lasts. Chapter 7. Develop focus that leads you toward financial freedom. Developing focus that leads you toward financial freedom begins with understanding how easily the mind can drift when it has no clear direction. Many people want to improve their lives, yet their attention is scattered across too many tasks, too many distractions, and too many conflicting desires. Without focus, effort becomes diluted. You work hard but move slowly. You start projects but never finish. You set goals but fail to follow through. Focus acts as a filter that keeps your energy aligned with what truly matters. When your mind is centered on a clear path, your decisions become sharper and your progress becomes consistent. Focus is not something you achieve once, it is something you train daily. Your mind naturally seeks comfort and stimulation. It gravitates toward distraction because distraction feels easier than effort. To develop focus, you must teach your mind to stay engaged with what supports your future instead of what entertains your present. This requires discipline, awareness, and intention. When you gain control of your focus, you gain control over your actions. And when your actions become intentional, your financial life begins to align with your goals. A major part of developing focus is learning to remove mental clutter. Mental clutter forms when your mind is filled with unfinished tasks, unresolved emotions, and unorganized thoughts. This clutter drains your concentration. It makes it difficult to think clearly or make effective financial decisions. Clearing your mind begins with simplifying your commitments. When you reduce unnecessary obligations, your attention becomes more concentrated. You no longer waste energy on things that do not serve your growth. You create mental space for decisions that support financial progress. Another important part of developing focus is learning to prioritize. Not everything deserves your attention. When you treat all tasks as equal, your mind becomes overwhelmed and unfocused. Prioritizing means identifying what matters most and giving your energy to those activities first. It means choosing long-term benefits over short-term comfort. It means aligning your actions with your values and your goals. When you prioritize effectively, your mind becomes more centered. You stop jumping from one thing to another. You begin completing tasks with purpose and clarity. Focus also strengthens when you limit distractions. Distractions are one of the biggest barriers to financial growth because they interrupt your momentum. They steal minutes that accumulate into hours. They break your concentration and weaken your discipline. By reducing digital noise, unnecessary notifications, and environments that encourage procrastination, you protect your focus. A protected mind is a powerful mind. When distractions lose their influence, your attention becomes a tool rather than a weakness. Consistency plays a major role in developing focus. Your mind becomes more stable when you follow routines that support productivity. Consistent habits help reduce mental decision-making, which frees energy for more meaningful tasks. When you wake up, work, learn, or reflect at predictable times, your mind adapts to that structure. It becomes easier to stay focused because your brain knows what to expect. Over time, these routines strengthen your mental endurance. They help you stay committed even when tasks become challenging. Another essential part of developing focus is learning to be present. Many people struggle financially because their mind is either stuck in the past or constantly worried about the future. This mental unrest weakens focus. When you train yourself to stay present, you improve your ability to make clear, grounded decisions. Being present means giving your full attention to the task in front of you. It means noticing when your mind wanders and gently returning it to the moment. When you live with presence, you think more clearly, act more efficiently, and manage your financial decisions with calmness. To strengthen focus, you must also learn how to direct your mind during moments of stress. Stress often pushes people into impulsive choices. It clouds judgment and encourages escape behaviors. When you train yourself to pause and breathe before reacting, you prevent stress from controlling your decisions. A calm mind makes stronger financial choices. Calmness allows you to think rationally, consider consequences, and act based on logic rather than emotion. Developing this skill creates a stable foundation for financial freedom because it reduces the chance of making costly mistakes. Another key principle of focus is knowing when to say no. Many people weaken their focus because they take on too much. They agree to commitments they do not want. They join activities that drain their energy. They allow others to dictate how they spend their time. Saying no is not selfish, it is protective. It ensures that your time and attention remain aligned with your goals. When you say no to distractions, you say yes to your future. This discipline strengthens your focus and keeps your financial path clear. Focus also requires understanding your own energy patterns. Some parts of the day naturally bring more clarity and motivation. Other times bring fatigue and lowered concentration. When you match your most important tasks to your highest energy moments, you work more effectively. This self-awareness increases productivity and reduces procrastination. When your mind is working at its best, your financial decisions become sharper, smarter, and more intentional. Developing focus also involves setting clear goals. A vague goal produces vague actions. A clear goal produces clear direction. When you know exactly what financial freedom means to you, whether it is stability, independence, travel, freedom from debt, or opportunity, you can focus your behavior toward that vision. A clear goal acts as a guide for every decision you make. It helps you avoid unnecessary spending, stay consistent with your habits, and maintain steady progress. Focus thrives in clarity. Another aspect of focus is tracking your progress. When you monitor how your actions affect your results, you become more aware of what works and what does not. This awareness helps you adjust quickly instead of repeating ineffective patterns. Tracking progress builds momentum. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. It reminds you that your small actions matter. This sense of progress reinforces your focus and encourages you to stay committed. To develop strong focus, you must also practice patience. Focus fades when frustration rises. Many people lose focus because they expect immediate results. When progress is slow, they shift their attention to something easier. Patience helps you stay steady during periods where results are not visible. It teaches you to trust the process. It strengthens your emotional stability. With patience, your focus becomes durable instead of fragile. It becomes a long-term commitment rather than a temporary burst of energy. Another important skill is learning how to reset your mind when you lose focus. Everyone gets distracted at times. The difference lies in how quickly you return to your path. A simple reset, like a moment of stillness, a deep breath, or a quick reflection, helps you regain clarity. This reset prevents one distraction from derailing your entire day. It reinforces the habit of coming back to your priorities, even after your attention slips. Focus also develops through controlled consumption. What you read, watch, and listen to shapes your thinking. If your mind is filled with noise, negativity, or constant entertainment, your focus weakens. But when you choose content that informs, strengthens, or inspires you, your mind becomes more focused. Controlled consumption sharpens awareness and reduces internal conflict. It aligns your thoughts with your goals and improves your decision-making. Your environment plays a major role in supporting focus. A cluttered or chaotic space affects mental clarity. A peaceful environment supports concentration. When you organize your space, you remove unnecessary distractions. This simplicity helps your mind settle. It gives you a sense of order that carries into your decisions. A calm environment leads to a calm mind, and a calm mind leads to strong financial choices. Focus also depends on meaningful purpose. When your goals matter deeply to you, your mind naturally gravitates toward them. Purpose strengthens your discipline. It helps you endure difficult moments. It gives you direction when you feel uncertain. When your purpose is clear, your choices become easier because you know what you are working for. You begin to prioritize long-term stability over short-term comfort. You become more willing to sacrifice distractions for progress. Developing focus is about training your mind to stay aligned with your values. It is about choosing clarity over chaos. It is about understanding what truly matters and giving your best attention to it. When your focus becomes strong, you no longer chase every opportunity or react to every distraction. You begin leading your life instead of following impulses. This shift in awareness changes how you use your time, how you spend your money, and how you plan your future. Focus becomes the foundation of financial freedom because it ensures that your energy, decisions, and habits all point in the same direction. With focus, your progress becomes steady. Your actions become intentional. Your mindset becomes grounded. You stop wasting effort on things that do not contribute to your future. You start investing your time and attention into what genuinely builds stability and independence. When you develop strong focus, you create the mental environment needed for growth. You form the discipline that supports wealth. You strengthen the habits that build long-term success. Focus is the bridge between intention and achievement. Once you learn how to guide your attention, financial freedom becomes a destination you move toward every day, one decision at a time. Chapter 8. Create routines that support consistent, long-term income. Creating routines that support consistent long-term income begins with understanding that stability does not depend on luck or sudden opportunities. It grows from the patterns you repeat every day. Routines shape your direction because they remove uncertainty and replace it with structure. They give your mind a sense of order, allowing you to focus on actions that build income instead of being pulled in different directions. When you create routines that support your goals, you build a foundation that strengthens your progress month after month and year after year. Consistent income requires consistent behavior, and consistent behavior comes from intentional routines. Most people want stable income, yet their days are unpredictable. They wake up without a plan. They react to every distraction. They move through the day hoping for progress instead of guiding their actions. This creates stress and inconsistency. Routines solve this problem by giving you control. A good routine does not restrict your life. It gives you freedom because it removes the pressure of deciding everything in the moment. When your routine already includes the behaviors that support your income, you stop depending on motivation. You rely on structure instead, and structure is far more reliable. A strong routine begins in the morning because how you start your day influences every decision that follows. A clear morning routine prepares your mind for productivity. It helps you begin with focus instead of rushing into the day with scattered thoughts. When your morning includes activities that strengthen your clarity, such as reviewing your priorities, setting your intentions, or organizing your tasks, you begin the day with a sense of control. This calmness carries into your decisions. You become more deliberate, more efficient, and more prepared to handle challenges without losing direction. Another part of creating supportive routines is organizing your work in a way that maximizes your energy. Everyone has natural rhythms. There are hours when your mind works at its best and hours when your focus drops. When you build routines around these rhythms, you use your energy wisely. You schedule your most important tasks for the times when you are strongest, and you leave less demanding tasks for moments of lower energy. This simple adjustment dramatically improves your productivity because you are working with your nature instead of fighting against it. Consistent, long-term income also requires routines that support learning. The world changes constantly, and your skills must grow with it. A learning routine keeps you competitive. It keeps your mind active and adaptable. Even a small daily learning schedule strengthens your future. It may be studying your industry, practicing a new skill, or reviewing strategies that improve your income. When learning becomes a routine instead of a random activity, your value increases steadily. You become someone who evolves, and evolution leads to new opportunities. Your routines should also include time for planning. Without planning, you move through the day reacting rather than leading. Planning helps you direct your effort toward what matters most. A simple plan at the beginning of each day or at the end of the night brings clarity to your decisions. It prevents wasted time and protects your focus. When you regularly plan your tasks, your income becomes more stable because your actions become more strategic. You stop wandering from task to task and start moving with intention. A routine that supports long-term income must also manage your financial responsibilities with consistency. Many people only look at their finances when they feel stressed, which creates anxiety and reduces control. But when you build a routine around monitoring your income, reviewing expenses, checking progress toward goals, and adjusting your strategy, you stay ahead of problems. This consistent attention keeps your financial life stable. It allows you to correct mistakes quickly and strengthen positive habits before small issues grow into big ones. Regular financial check-ins build confidence and reduce uncertainty. Another essential routine is dedicating time to opportunities that increase income. This could involve improving your work quality, seeking new clients, building new income streams, or strengthening relationships that support your career. Many people want increased income, but rarely schedule time to create. By making income-building activities part of your weekly routine, you turn intention into action. This routine keeps your financial life growing instead of staying stagnant. It ensures that you are always moving toward a stronger future rather than waiting for something to happen on its own. Creating supportive routines also means managing your environment. Your surroundings influence your behavior more than you realize. A disorganized space makes it harder to focus and easier to procrastinate. A clean, structured environment helps your mind stay clear. When your space aligns with your goals, your actions become easier to maintain. This is why routines like tidying your workspace, reducing clutter, and preparing your tools ahead of time make a significant difference. They save mental energy and help you begin each day with clarity. To support long-term income, you must also create routines that strengthen your health. Without physical and mental well-being, your productivity drops, your focus weakens, your discipline declines. A routine that includes rest, movement, and moments of stillness protects your energy. When your mind and body function well, your performance improves. This improved performance leads to better decisions, higher quality work, and stronger financial outcomes. Health routines are not distractions from productivity. They enhance it by giving you the stamina to stay consistent. Another important element is building routines that protect your time. This means creating boundaries that prevent people or activities from interrupting your priorities. It means scheduling uninterrupted work sessions, limiting unnecessary conversations, and avoiding distractions that break your concentration. Protecting your time is essential because long-term income requires deep focus. When your time is scattered, your results become unpredictable. But when you consistently protect your time, your productivity becomes stable and your income follows the same pattern. Your routines should also include moments of reflection. Reflection helps you understand what is working and what needs improvement. Without reflection, you repeat behaviors that waste time and limit your progress. Reflection allows you to adjust your routines, refine your goals, and make better decisions moving forward. When you reflect consistently, you evolve more quickly. You become more efficient. You eliminate unnecessary effort and strengthen the habits that support your income. Creating strong routines also means avoiding extremes. Many people start routines with enthusiasm but burn out because they try to do too much at once. Sustainable routines grow gradually. You begin with small steps and strengthen them over time. This slow growth builds a foundation that lasts. When your routines are realistic, you can follow them consistently. Consistency is more important than intensity because long-term income depends on steady behaviors rather than sudden efforts. 1. Powerful routine is setting weekly reviews. A weekly review helps you measure your progress, identify areas for improvement, and prepare for the upcoming days. It brings structure to your long-term goals and helps you maintain clarity. These weekly reviews turn your growth into a continuous process instead of a series of unrelated efforts. They keep you aligned with your vision and prevent you from drifting. Routines that support consistent income also involve emotional discipline. When you act based on emotion rather than intention, you weaken your progress. Emotional routines such as taking a pause before reacting, practicing gratitude, or grounding yourself during stress help stabilize your mind. A stable mind makes stronger decisions. Emotional discipline keeps your routines alive because you do not allow temporary feelings to dictate your actions. As your routines become stronger, you begin to experience a sense of stability that influences every part of your financial life. You no longer rely on bursts of motivation. You move steadily forward. You trust yourself because your habits support your intentions. This trust becomes the foundation of long-term income. When your routines guide your actions, your results become predictable. Predictable results create stability. Stability grows into confidence. Confidence becomes financial freedom. Creating routines that support long-term income is ultimately about designing a life where your actions match your goals. It is about removing chaos, building structure, and strengthening your daily habits until they lead you naturally towards success. When your routines align with the future you want, your income becomes a reflection of your consistency. You become someone who grows steadily, acts intentionally, and builds a life defined by stability rather than uncertainty. Chapter 9. Protect your mind from thoughts that weaken progress. Protecting your mind from thoughts that weaken progress begins with recognizing how powerful your inner dialogue is. The direction of your life is shaped not only by what you do, but also by what you allow yourself to think. Every action starts as a thought, and every habit begins with a belief. When your mind is filled with doubts, fears, and negative assumptions, your decisions become smaller, your confidence becomes fragile, and your ambition becomes limited. Progress requires a steady mind, and a steady mind can only exist when you learn to guard your thoughts with intention. You cannot control everything that enters your mind, but you can control what stays. Many people lose progress not because of external obstacles, but because of the stories they repeatedly tell themselves. Thoughts like, "I am not ready," "I will fail," "My situation will never improve," or "I don't have what it takes," quietly weaken action. These thoughts may feel true in the moment, but they are reflections of fear, not reality. When you believe them, you shrink your effort. You hesitate when you should move. You settle when you should stretch. You remain stuck not because growth is impossible, but because your mind convinces you that it is safer to stay where you are. Protecting your mind means refusing to entertain thoughts that pull you backward. A strong mind does not eliminate fear. It chooses not to obey it. Fearful thoughts are natural, but allowing them to guide your decisions is a choice. When fear dominates your thinking, every challenge looks threatening and every opportunity appears risky. To protect your mind, you must question these thoughts instead of accepting them as facts. Ask yourself if the fear is based on real danger or imagined consequences. Often, you will discover that the thought is exaggerating the situation. Seeing this clearly weakens fear's influence. Once fear loses its intensity, your confidence grows and your ability to act strengthens. Another type of thought that weakens progress is comparison. When you focus on what others have achieved, your mind becomes restless. You begin to judge your progress based on someone else's timeline. This creates frustration, impatience, and self-doubt. Comparison drains your energy because it shifts your attention away from your own growth. Protecting your mind means remembering that your progress is not a race. Your path is unique. Your pace is your own. Someone else's success does not diminish yours. When you focus on your own direction, your mind becomes calmer and your decisions become clearer. A mind that remains unprotected is easily influenced by negativity. Negative thoughts can come from past experiences, critical people, or internal fears. They create an emotional environment where progress feels heavy and exhausting. To protect your mind, you must learn to challenge negative thoughts the moment they arise, not by denying them, but by examining them with reason. Ask yourself whether the thought supports your goals or undermines. If it weakens your spirit, it has no place in your mind. This habit of mental filtering helps you maintain clarity and emotional stability even when life becomes difficult. One powerful way to protect your mind is to limit mental noise. This includes unnecessary drama, pessimistic conversations, and content that fills your mind with fear or confusion. The information you consume shapes your thinking. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, your mind becomes conditioned to expect the worst. Protecting your mind requires choosing what you allow in. When you reduce toxic influences, your thoughts become more balanced. You think more logically. You react less emotionally. This clarity leads to better decisions and stronger progress. Your environment also influences your thoughts. People who complain constantly, mock ambition, or discourage improvement can plant doubts in your mind. Over time, these doubts weaken your progress. To protect your mind, you must guard your environment as carefully as you guard your goals. Surround yourself with people who think clearly, act responsibly, and aim higher. Their mindset will strengthen yours. Being around disciplined individuals makes discipline feel natural. Being around positive thinkers makes optimism easier. Protecting your mind sometimes means limiting contact with people who drain your energy or weaken your confidence. Another key principle is becoming aware of the thoughts you repeat daily. Many people speak to themselves with harshness they would never direct toward others. They criticize themselves for small mistakes, punish themselves for imperfections, or replay past failures in their mind. This mental pattern gradually erodes confidence. To protect your mind, you must replace harsh self-talk with respectful honesty. You do not need unrealistic praise. You only need fairness. Speak to yourself as someone worthy of growth. Recognize your effort. Learn from mistakes without defining yourself by them. This mindset builds emotional strength and allows you to keep progressing even when things go wrong. Protecting your mind also requires developing mental resilience. Resilient thinking helps you navigate setbacks without losing hope. Instead of viewing challenges as proof that improvement is impossible, you see them as part of the journey. Setbacks become information, not identity. Failure becomes feedback, not a personal flaw. When your mind interprets setbacks this way, you remain calm under pressure. You stay focused even when progress slows. Resilience is not about ignoring difficulty. It is about refusing to let difficulty determine your future. Another important aspect of protecting your mind is practicing stillness. A restless mind often jumps from one thought to another, creating confusion and emotional fatigue. Moments of stillness, quiet reflection, deep breathing, stepping away from noise, help your mind reset. Stillness gives your thoughts room to settle. It helps you see your situation more clearly and make decisions from a place of calmness rather than chaos. A calm mind is stronger, more rational, and less susceptible to destructive thoughts. Protecting your mind also involves directing your attention towards solutions instead of problems. Many people spend more time worrying about obstacles than thinking about how to overcome them. This mindset creates mental paralysis. When you shift your focus from worry to strategy, your mind becomes more capable. You begin to see possibilities instead of limitations. You take action instead of waiting. This practical mindset builds confidence because you trust your ability to handle challenges. A solution-focused mind stays strong even during uncertainty. It is also important to practice gratitude as a form of mental protection. Gratitude shifts your mind away from scarcity and towards stability. When you consistently acknowledge what is going well, your thoughts become more balanced. You stop focusing only on what is missing. This positive shift reduces anxiety and strengthens your emotional resilience. Gratitude does not deny challenges, it simply gives your mind a healthier perspective. A balanced mind makes better decisions and stays committed to progress. Another powerful way to protect your mind is creating personal standards. When you have standards for how you think, act, and respond, you create a mental shield. Standards prevent you from falling into destructive patterns. They guide your behavior during stressful moments. They remind you of who you want to be. When you hold yourself to a standard of calmness, clarity, discipline, or patience, your thoughts begin to align with those values. These standards become your internal guide. Protecting your mind also means recognizing when you need rest. A tired mind becomes vulnerable to negative thinking. Fatigue lowers resilience and increases emotional reactions. Rest does not slow progress, it protects it. When you give your mind time to recharge, your clarity improves, your discipline strengthens, your decisions become wiser. Rest allows you to return to your goals with renewed energy and focus. Another important element is being intentional about the conversations you have with yourself. Every thought has influence. Your inner dialogue should strengthen your direction, not weaken it. You can train your mind by asking questions that bring clarity. Is this thought true? Does this thought support my progress? Is this thought based on fear or fact? These questions weaken unhelpful thoughts and reinforce helpful ones. Over time, your inner dialogue becomes a source of strength instead of doubt. Protecting your mind from weakening thoughts is not something you do once. It is a practice, a daily commitment, a habit that grows stronger through repetition. When you consistently guide your thoughts, you create a mental environment where progress becomes natural. You think with clarity. You act with confidence. You make decisions based on logic rather than fear. Your mind becomes a place of stability instead of conflict. A protected mind creates powerful progress. It helps you stay focused when distractions arise. It keeps you steady when challenges appear. It gives you the emotional strength to remain committed to your goals. When your mind is clear, calm, and disciplined, your financial life reflects that stability. You stop being pulled backward by negative thoughts and start moving forward with purpose. A strong mind is the foundation of long-term success. And once you learn to protect your thoughts, your progress becomes unstoppable. Chapter 10. Commit to changes that build lasting financial success. Committing to changes that build lasting financial success begins with accepting that your future will only improve when you genuinely decide to improve. Many people want better results but avoid the discomfort that meaningful change requires. They hope for transformation without adjusting their habits, their mindset, or their behavior. Real progress demands commitment, and commitment means choosing growth even when it feels unfamiliar or inconvenient. Lasting financial success grows from decisions you repeat long enough for them to become part of who you are. When you commit to change, you are not just improving your finances, you are shaping your identity into someone capable of long-term stability. Commitment begins with clarity. You cannot change what you have not clearly defined. Many people struggle financially because they never identify the specific changes they need to make. They move through life hoping things will improve on their own. Clarity forces you to face your reality honestly. It requires you to acknowledge where your habits are holding you back, where your focus is drifting, and where your decisions are inconsistent. Once you become honest with yourself, change becomes possible. When you see clearly, you can act with purpose instead of guessing your way forward. To commit to change, you must recognize that change is not a moment, it is a practice. You do not become financially successful from one strong decision. You become successful because you repeat the decision to change every day. Commitment means staying aligned with your goals even when excuses appear. It means holding yourself accountable when your discipline weakens. It means refusing to let temporary feelings override long-term goals. Commitment is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, steady, and consistent. It shows up in the choices you make when no one is watching. Another essential part of commitment is learning to embrace discomfort. Growth will always challenge you because it requires replacing familiar habits with unfamiliar ones. Even positive change feels uncomfortable at first because your mind and body are used to old patterns. Committing to change means accepting this discomfort instead of avoiding it. When you train yourself to stay present through uncomfortable moments, you build resilience. Resilience allows you to keep moving forward when progress feels slow or difficult. Without resilience, even the best plan falls apart. With resilience, even challenging goals become achievable. To build lasting financial success, you must shift from temporary actions to permanent transformations. Temporary actions help for a moment, but they do not create long-term results. Permanent transformations reshape how you think, how you behave, and how you respond to life. This shift requires deep commitment because it asks you to update your identity. When you see yourself as someone who manages money wisely, you naturally make better decisions. When you see yourself as someone disciplined, you follow through on your plans. Identity drives behavior. Committing to change means committing to becoming the person your future requires. Another important part of commitment is letting go of old excuses. Excuses protect comfort but destroy progress. They sound reasonable in the moment, but they block your potential. Excuses convince you that you are too busy, too tired, too inexperienced, or too unlucky to move forward. When you commit to change, you learn to recognize excuses as mental noise rather than truth. You refuse to let them lead your decisions. This shift in thinking gives you power because it frees you from limitations you once believed were real. When excuses lose their hold, responsibility rises, and responsibility builds financial success. Committing to change also requires boundaries. You cannot build lasting success while protecting habits that damage your progress. Boundaries help you stay aligned with your goals by limiting behaviors that weaken your growth. A boundary might mean saying no to unnecessary spending, protecting your time from distractions, or distancing yourself from people who discourage your ambition. Boundaries are not restrictions, they are tools that keep you focused. They protect the energy you need to grow. When your boundaries are strong, your commitment becomes easier to maintain. To create lasting financial success, you must commit to continuous improvement. Improvement does not end once you reach a certain level. Success requires updating your habits, learning new skills, and adapting to changes around you. Many people lose progress because they stop growing once they achieve a little stability. They become comfortable and forget that success requires constant attention. Committing to improvement protects you from stagnation. It ensures that you remain competitive, capable, and confident as life evolves. When you commit to improving continuously, your financial progress becomes a natural outcome. Another element of lasting commitment is consistency. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum creates results. When you repeat strong behaviors long enough, they begin to compound. Small gains accumulate into meaningful progress. This compounding effect is one of the most powerful forces in financial success, but it only works when you stay consistent. Inconsistent effort leads to inconsistent results. Consistency turns your habits into systems that run smoothly, even when motivation fades. When your actions remain steady, your progress becomes predictable and sustainable. Commitment also requires being intentional with your time. Time is a limited resource, and how you use it influences the quality of your results. Lasting financial success grows from time spent wisely. This means giving attention to tasks that support your growth instead of wasting time on distractions that provide nothing in return. When you manage your time with purpose, you create more opportunities for progress. Intentional time leads to intentional results. The more you respect your time, the more your future improves. To commit to change, you must also be willing to adjust your approach when necessary. Change does not follow a straight line. You will make mistakes, plans will fail, unexpected challenges will appear. Commitment is not about rigidly sticking to a single strategy. It is about staying committed to the outcome while being flexible with the approach. When you learn to adjust rather than quit, you strengthen your adaptability. Adaptability allows you to navigate obstacles without losing direction. This flexibility ensures that your progress continues even when circumstances shift. Another important aspect of commitment is building discipline. Discipline is the structure that keeps your commitment alive. It helps you stay aligned with your goals when motivation fades. Discipline reminds you that results come from repeated effort, not occasional inspiration. When you build discipline, you gain control over your choices. You stop acting based on impulse and start acting based on intention. This self-control becomes one of your strongest tools in achieving lasting financial success because it ensures your actions match your goals. A strong commitment to change also requires nurturing your mindset. A mindset shaped by doubt cannot sustain growth. A mindset shaped by strength becomes unstoppable. When you speak to yourself with encouragement rather than fear, your confidence grows. When you focus on possibilities rather than limitations, your decisions become bolder. When you trust in your ability to improve, you take action with courage. Protecting and strengthening your mindset ensures that your commitment does not fade when you face challenges. A strong mind supports strong results. Another key principle of commitment is accountability. When you hold yourself accountable for your progress, you take ownership of both your successes and your mistakes. Accountability keeps you honest. It prevents you from drifting away from your goals. You can build accountability through tracking your progress, setting regular check-ins with yourself, or reviewing your habits at the end of each day. This level of self-awareness keeps your commitment alive. It ensures that you do not lose sight of the changes you are working toward. Committing to change also means accepting that growth requires time. Many people quit too early because they misjudge the pace of progress. They expect immediate results and become discouraged when progress feels slow. Lasting financial success requires patience. Patience helps you stay steady through periods where results are not visible. It keeps you committed to the process, even when the outcome feels distant. When you embrace patience, your mind becomes calmer and your decisions become wiser. You stop rushing and start building. Slow progress is still progress, and patience protects your commitment from fading. Another essential aspect is taking responsibility for shaping your future. No one else can make these changes for you. Waiting for external change keeps you stuck. Taking responsibility moves you forward. When you accept responsibility, you stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You begin creating the conditions you need to succeed. This shift in attitude strengthens your commitment because you recognize that your progress depends on your actions, not on external factors. Committing to change creates a ripple effect across your entire life. As your habits improve, your confidence rises. As your mindset strengthens, your opportunities expand. As your actions become more consistent, your results become more predictable. Lasting financial success is built through countless small decisions that reflect your commitment to a stronger future. Each decision reinforces your identity. Each action shapes your direction. Each moment of discipline contributes to your progress. Committing to change is the final step that turns ideas into results. It transforms desire into action. It shapes a future grounded in stability rather than uncertainty. Once you commit fully, you begin living with intention instead of drifting through life. You become someone who builds success instead of waiting for it. You become someone who grows despite challenges, adapts despite obstacles, and perseveres despite difficulty. This commitment becomes the foundation of financial success that lasts, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger.